Hello, Ben.
Hi, Sarah.
Last time we had a great conversation. I enjoyed so much.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Amazing, a very inspirational conversation about happiness in general. So today I want to talk about something a little more specific. Okay, issues related to entrepreneurs or business owners. Nowadays, there are many entrepreneurs or business owners, and it's very challenging, to have your own business. Doesn't matter your company is small, 5 people, or 500 people, or 5,000 people, or there's a lot of issues in business. So I want to talk about the, as an entrepreneur, how do you control your mind, and even at difficult times, how do you keep a positive perspective and keep everything going?
I work with business owners from all walks of life, so I completely understand what you're saying when you say...
You are one too.
Yeah, and myself, right? So,
right.
From my personal experience as well as from the business owners that I've worked with, and some of the people that I speak to, they've had like $1 billion company. Other people are just starting out.
Right,
but
right.
what's
Could be one-person company, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Amount of people in the company varies, but the problems are the same.
Right.
Yeah. So for myself personally, there's a few different strategies that I use depending on the issue that I'm facing. So the best way that I can probably explain this is through a story.
Okay.
So there was once a grandfather, and he lived with his grandson on a farm. And unfortunately, the grandfather wasn't very well, so his grandson had to farm the land. And one day, a horse arrived in their farm. They couldn't believe it. A horse arrived.
Just arrived.
Arrived in their farm,
gift
right?
From the sky.
Correct, a gift from the sky. So all the townspeople came around. They were like, "Oh my God, this is amazing. This is fantastic. This is great." And the grandfather looked at them and they said, "Maybe." And then 3 days later, the horse ran away. They couldn't believe it, right? All the people came around and they said, "What bad luck. This is awful. How could God do this to you? How could they give you something and take it away?" And the grandfather said, "Maybe."
It's very cool, huh?
It's quite cool. Yeah. And then 4 days later, the horse came back with 2 other horses. So he's now one of the richest men in the entire village, right? People couldn't believe it. It was crazy.
Wow.
Right? So they're all coming around, they're having a party, this is amazing. They're like, "Oh my God, this is fantastic." They're saying it's the best thing ever. And the grandfather said, "Maybe." And his grandson was playing on the horses the next day. And unfortunately, he fell off and he broke both of his legs. So that meant that the grandson couldn't work on the farm. So the grandfather had to start working again. So even though he had the horses, he had to actually work on his own farm so that, the people came around and said, "I'm so sorry. This is terrible news. This is awful thing. This is terrible."
Right.
And the grandfather said,
"Maybe."
"Maybe." And then the country got into a war. And what happened is they recruited all of the young men in the village, and all of the young children, the sons, so all the families were very unhappy that they had to send their sons away. And the war was, they were outnumbered 20-1. So the people were definitely going to die, whoever went.
Of course.
His grandson didn't go because he was injured. And that's life.
Wow, you don't know what to expect, and sometimes looks like a happy thing, fortune, but it's not. Sometimes looks like a bad thing, but it's blessings in disguise.
Yeah. And often, that's life. Sometimes something bad happens and we think it's bad and then it's good.
Right.
And you hear people say, "Oh, I can't believe I lost this opportunity, this is terrible." But then if you didn't lose that, you got this amazing opportunity. Say, "Oh, thank God that happened."
Yeah, so one door closed, the other door opened.
Correct, but a lot of people constantly focus on the doors closing. And they get really stressed out. "Oh, why did this door close? How could this happen to my business? Why did that person cheat me? This is awful." And often people get in that pattern. So one of the best things that I say to myself is maybe.
That's a good maybe.
It is a good maybe, yes.
Good maybe.
Because the reason the maybe
works.
It's
an excellent maybe.
The reason that the maybe is quite cool is that it offers you a different perspective. So what you can do is you can use that to perhaps give your story or the thing that happened a different interpretation. So, in life, things will happen. You can call them bad things, you can call them good things.
Right. You have no control, right? We have control of certain things, but so many things we have no control.
Correct. And one of the worst things is for you to get stressed out of things that are outside of your control, because there's nothing you can do about it. And people get very stressed. And this is one of the reasons why people stay depressed for a long time. Because people who are depressed, they focus on the past and they focus on things that have happened. So for business owners, they focus on, you know, losing business.
Right.
And because they're constantly looking back, it's very difficult for them to move forward. So as an entrepreneur, one of the best things is to start putting these issues in perspective. Another question to ask yourself, which is another strategy that I use, or that I also pose to people to use, is, you know, will this matter in 5 years' time? One of the hardest things is getting yourself stuck. So one of the patterns that I see in business owners is over-controlling behavior. So this is where you try and control everything in your business. And it leads to a lot of stress, right? But, you know, it's good in one way because often these people are perfectionists. They want everything in a perfect way. But the issue is they often analyze everything and they get stressed. And there's so many factors going on that it's often overwhelming for people.
Sometimes I'm like that, trying to make everything like 100%, but it's impossible. I can't achieve that. I feel disappointed, you know, stressed out.
Yep.
Yeah.
It happens to all of us. So one of the things that I pose to people is the Pareto Principle.
What is that?
So this is that 20% of what you do gets 80% of the results. 20% of the pea pods create 80% of the peas. Or 20% of your clients probably give you 80% of your income. So we see this in all walks of life. So one of the best ways to think about this is saying, okay, what is the 20% that I can do that actually makes 80% of the difference? And that as a business owner is a great sort of change of thinking, because it allows you to focus on the tasks that mean the most to your business. So you get more done and you're much more productive. Because I know people that work incredibly hard, but they don't get much done. Most people want to keep busy, and they feel that if they're not working, then they're not making progress. Whereas often, if you can take a step back and think creatively or think differently, you can actually make more progress as a result.
Very, very interesting. So we have to find a way to be more efficient.
One of the biggest things that business owners tell me is they want more time. It's one of the biggest things. I wish I had more time. I wish I had more time to do this. And
but it's just, in a way, it's just an excuse.
It is, because we all have 24 hours in a day.
Right.
If I gave them 25 hours, they'd waste that hour too.
Right, it's not their time, it's their attitudes, the way they work.
Often I speak to people about lifestyle design. So this is a new concept that I teach people, and this is how, instead of thinking about, you know, okay, this is life, most of us think that, okay, you know, we work 9 to 5. This is the type of life we have to have. Right. Instead, lifestyle design is where you think about, okay, well, if I were to design my life in a way that would be amazing or awesome, how much would I want to work in the week? What would I do? And how much time would I spend working versus being with my partner versus being with my family? But most people don't think like this. But by having an understanding of where you want to go, it then helps you to better build your business so that it helps you move in that direction as opposed to being a burden. So it's really important to understand where you're going so that you can...
direction.
Correct.
Oh, that's very smart. And so you are setting up your life, personal life, family life, and in the same direction of your business.
Yeah, and one of the cool things is that a lot of people want financial freedom. They want enough income so they don't have to work.
Right.
And you know, this is something that when I was based in Silicon Valley, right, that was a really big thing for people. I want to set up my business so I don't have to work anymore.
I want to retire at age 30.
Correct. I want to retire at 30, right? And that was something that I was thinking as well. But then what I thought was, well, what then?
And then what do you do? Yeah?
Correct. And that's very interesting because most people, when they retire and they stop working, die within 2 years.
Because they've got nothing to live for,
right?
Exactly, I have nothing to live for. Yeah, there's no goal, no dream, you know, no motivation, no stimulation.
Yeah, and we need challenges to grow in life.
Exactly.
And, you know, as we grow, so the challenges grow as well. But it's about understanding the type of life that you want to live and sort of building that lifestyle to be in line with the business as an entrepreneur. And it's really, really fascinating to do.
That's wonderful. So I have another question also about business, talking about financial freedom. So nowadays I heard many people are talking like for somebody who has a day job, you know, a steady job, get a paycheck, but they're not happy at their job and they want to set up their own business, right? But the problem comes, they are afraid, they are nervous. What if, you know, my own business doesn't succeed, right? And you know, I don't have a paycheck, don't have a steady job, I have kids, I have family, have to pay mortgage, all this stuff. And what if my own business doesn't succeed and fail and lose everything.
Yep.
So how do you make a decision? How should they try? Should they not try? Should they? This is a dilemma. Many people sometimes people ask me.
Of course, yeah.
They ask me for advice. So they say, should I quit my job or shouldn't I quit my job?
Sure. Yeah, it's very difficult, right? But there's different strategies to do. So some people say, right, enough is enough. I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to build my business. And I think that's a great strategy if you don't have any responsibilities. If you don't have your family, a mortgage, you can live at home and there's nothing to worry about. But the cool thing about that is you get a lot of experience. But most people aren't in that kind of position. They've got responsibilities. So what I tell people to do is to think about how to do it in a smart way. So what I mean by this is how could you build your business on the side and build it up so that you can then get the income coming from your business and build it up so you then don't have to work. And another thing that I pose to people is that the income that you're getting from your job, use to build your business. Because most people don't have the skills to do everything in their business, right? They may not be good at marketing, they may not be good at content, maybe they're great at strategy, but they don't know how to do it. So I tell people that you want to be able to use the money that you have and invest in your business in a smart way so you can test things out.
I see. I like that.
Because you've got the income anyway coming in. So use part of it, maybe 10%, 15%.
Small risk you can afford.
Correct. Worst thing that happens is it doesn't go anywhere, but you've learned something.
Right. You learn lesson and then you can use that lesson for your future endeavor.
And a lot of people say they don't have time to do it because they're working. And this is where you want to hire other people, even part-time, or get other people to help you build it on the side. And that's one of the best strategies that I've seen a lot of people do. So their business builds up and then they can slowly transition off. And this is one of the safest ways to do it.
It's very smart. And a smooth transition.
Correct.
And doesn't involve so huge risks.
Correct. And I think that that's really important for people to get their head around, because the hardest thing is that people get scared of failing. And that stops them. So you've got to fail. Because if you don't fail, you can't learn. I say to people that you can't fail. Instead, you have a learning opportunity, right? Because people don't like to fail.
Good way to look at it.
Yeah, you can reframe it. But I'll happily have a learning opportunity. That's fine.
Yeah. It's the same but different perspective. Yeah.
Correct. It's just a different word, but the language makes us feel different.
It's impossible. Nobody ever, never fail.
Correct.
It's life. So many new things you don't know. It's your first time this, first time that, and then so many elements out of our control. So sometimes we want to do something, doesn't pan out. Didn't get the result we want.
Yeah. And one of the things that I see a lot of business owners do is that they do a lot of planning. They say, I need to read more books, I need to learn more knowledge, I need to learn everything in the field, and then I'll start my business.
But they never start. Correct.
Number one, they never start. Number two, knowledge is potential power. But unless you use that knowledge, it's pointless. It's like knowing what to do at the gym, like you know how to lose weight. But if you don't do it, there's no point in having it. The other issue is that our world changes so quickly now that by the time you've learned the knowledge, it's already changed. So the biggest thing is they've just got to go and do it. And then they get feedback.
Take
Correct.
action.
Action is key. And that's why a lot of people must take action if they want to start moving forward. But this is where a lot of people get confused because they don't know where to take action in. So this is where understanding the type of life that you want to live is really important.
Thanks, Ben, for very useful advice for entrepreneurs. But we're not over, and next time we will be talking about another topic I like, and of course very important for everybody, is personal relationships.
Oh, that's going to be a fun one.
So till next time. Okay.
Sounds good. I look forward to it.
Thank you, Ben.
My pleasure.